right, here we are, another episode of Bram Radio. Today, going to give you guys a little bit of a look as to what kind of goes on behind the camera by having the brains behind the operation, the guy who runs the camera, the guy that's always back there. You always see me talking to him, but you never get to see who I'm talking to. So this is the producer for the Bram Radio podcast, Mr. Zach Carroll. What's up, dude?
What's happening?
It's good to see you in that chair over there instead of back here with computers and cameras. There's like cameras all over here, lights all over here, and it's all stuff that you've kind of put together. Now you're in the chair. And, yeah.
I'm on the other side of the camera, though, and I don't necessarily like being on the other side.
That's that's your happy spot, though.
Yeah.
Like, you're like super stoked to be over there.
100%.
Like,
I'm the like creative type, where if somebody's not doing it the way I want them to do it, though, then I'll step in and I'll be like, no, do it like this. But for the most part,
what he basically said, Sam, was that he's gonna be getting up in a second and going.
And being like, Sam, you need to go check the lesson.
Sam, pick up the board. Point at 5 minutes. Got it, Sam? That's happening.
One thing I'll notice is that the monitors are turned the wrong way.
You just did it, Zach.
I know. I'm gonna break all the
He
rules.
always yells at me and whoever's sitting over there if we do this on the arm of the chair. And he just did it. So.
In all fairness, I'm the one that'll have to fix it, so I don't feel as bad.
Right.
So yeah, man.
And then we got Baxter. Baxter is our
Mascot.
Our mascot here. He's always in here when we're recording. It's just that you guys hardly ever get to see him. Every once in a while you'll see his tail walk by.
Yeah.
But that's Baxter and Zach. But Zach, your story is fantastic. First of all, we're both from Wisconsin.
Yeah. Wisconsinites, some Sconies.
Yeah, so you grew up in Verona.
I grew up in Madison, went to Verona High School, which is just like a little suburb right outside of Madison. But
yeah. And then you went on to do some the things that most kids, when they think high school athletics for boys, for men, young men, they're thinking football, wrestling, baseball, soccer, maybe track and field, maybe swimming or something like that. Yeah. It's so rare to come across somebody who did what you did growing up and then have it parlay into something else that parlayed into something else. That I have never met anybody that has taken that career track, but it makes sense that you ended up in skydiving.
Yeah, the story really, it couldn't have happened any other way. And when you look back on it, because I was in gymnastics from a really young age. I was really blessed. My grandparents paid for us to do gymnastics. And the men's gymnastics in Wisconsin just kind of died. There just wasn't a whole lot of competition. And at the same time, my sister had transitioned over to cheerleading. And the cheerleading world was like just kind of starting to percolate and get kind of big. This was like pre-Bring It On. Like, you remember that movie that kind of brought cheerleading to the main stage?
Yeah, no one ever made fun of that movie.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is kind of right around that time, and everybody on the squad were like, because they worked out in the same gym that I was in, was like, just come over to the cheer world, come over, like. And so I toyed with the idea, and I went to a couple of their practices, and then I realized that hanging out with like 30 girls every night was pretty much my jam. I was gifted in it because I could tumble. I was learning new stuff because I didn't know how to stunt or throw the girls around, and so that was cool because it was new. And like I said, the gymnastics world just kind of fizzled off. There was one point where I was the only person on the men's gymnastics team at Badger Gymnastics, which is where I did most of my career. And it was only like a 3-month period, and then like some new guys came in, but it was kind of a joke. And so I was like, okay, let's try something else. Cheerleading fit the bill. My sister was doing it. She was really good at it. The atmosphere was awesome. It was a lot different than gymnastics because that's kind of a solo sport. You know, you're kind of competing against yourself, so to speak. Whereas with cheerleading, it's definitely a team sport. You got to depend on these people to kind of carry the same weight that you're hoping that you're carrying. Plus, the competitions were more fun. We got to go to Disney World and, you know, like
so.
I said,
So to put this in context, so it's not just gymnastics where it's like you know just kind of go out there and just play around on a mat and on a whatever that thing is, that with a pommel horse That is that
pommel horse. That's
So you're not just out there just playing around. I mean, you were serious about it. This like you had aspirations.
Yeah, I was a gymnast through and through, with a serious goal to become a Cirque du Soleil performer. That was kind of the pipe dream. Was I'm going to use this talent to go on. And
was it ever like I want to compete nationally or internationally or?
I had met Paul and Morgan Hamm, who were both Olympians, and I can't remember which Olympics, but they used to work out.
Are they twins?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They used to work out at, I think it was Swiss Turner's in Milwaukee. And, when you see that caliber of gymnast, the reality sets in that you're like, I'm good, but that guy is like kind of next level. And so
there are levels to this.
There are levels to this. And so I'm a pretty humble person. I understand that I was pretty dang good, but I knew that I wasn't Olympic good. And so I didn't really pursue like hardcore, like I just kind of felt like that bar was just not necessarily too high, but just not really where I wanted to go per se.
So did you have people, because it's such an odd track, right? I've met a couple male gymnasts where I come from, just in life, it's like the people I hang out with are more, they're fighters, they're rugby people, they're shooters, they're
men's men.
Yeah, just like, and when you think gymnastics,
leotard.
Yeah, you're thinking,
like the first thing.
But then you're thinking like, what? From a dude perspective, it's like you are hanging out with some, some pretty cute girls most likely, and then the cheer side of it. I take that back. I did know one dude who was a cheerleader, and he was in the SEAL teams with me. When you look at him or when you meet him and when you talk to him, you realize that you look at him and you say, yeah, that is definitely a male cheerleader. But it was all of his personality. Now he's no longer with us. He's passed away since, and he was an amazing dude. But he wasn't. What do you call it? He wasn't embarrassed about it, or he wasn't shy about it. He was like, yeah, it's male cheerleader. What? Yeah. Like, you know what that meant? It just meant that, I did really well with the ladies. How'd you do?
Yeah.
Like, that was his marker. That was his meter of it, And when he said that to us, like when we were in the SEAL teams, we were like, checks out.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I definitely got made fun of for it in high school and stuff, because it wasn't part of the school, luckily. Mm-hmm. I think I would have gotten a little more flack if it was like I was a Verona high school cheerleader. Nothing against high school cheerleading or anything, but this way I was kind of incognito. I flew under the radar a little bit, but people knew I was a cheerleader. But anytime somebody would ask me about it, I'm just like, yeah, that's 100%. I do this. It's super fun. I get to throw chicks around and I tumble and like we travel. I don't have any, problem saying that I was a cheerleader at all. Even though I came up during the time where it was really weird for a guy to be a cheerleader. And little known fact, guys were the first cheerleaders. The first cheerleaders ever it was men that were doing it.
Really?
And then women took over, and then it became like a woman thing, quote unquote.
Who knew?
But yeah, I mean,
so then
male cheerleaders.
So how'd you go from the cheerleading thing into the circus world?
I got really good dumb luck, man. A part of me wants to say it was manifestation, but a part of me is just like it was pretty lucky. I had moved out to Florida right before high school even was finished for me. I think I was like 17 at the time. I moved out to Florida. Started working at UCF, which was a gym near UCF, the college, called University Cheer Force. And I was working at an open gym, and some circus performers came in. And anytime somebody of like decent caliber comes in, you kind of do this little tug of war, like, oh, can you do this? Can you do that? And so we started doing that. These two guys, Marco and Glenn, came in, and we were all really similar in terms of our skill level, and I might have even at the time had the upper hand. I was working out pretty hard, and so we started playing. And about a week later, I get a phone call from my boss, and they're like, "Hey, were you working the open gym? Some guys were looking for you." and they left you a phone number. So I called them up, and they said, we're doing tryouts for Cirque Dreams, which is this company out of Pompano Beach, Florida. It's a traveling circus. We thought of you the other day. They were asking us if we knew of anybody that would be interested in trying out. And your name came up. And so here's this guy's number. I called him. They had a flight down to Miami like 2 days later to go do this audition. I went to this audition with a couple other people. And I think that the director really liked me, like from the get-go. Because when I got there, I was like, this is it. This is the opportunity. It doesn't get any louder than this. You know what I mean? If you're talking about a sign from God. So I took that and I ran with it. I hustled my butt off when I was at that audition. And they go, okay, we'll call you. And about a week later, I get a phone call and they said, you're on, 3-month Atlantic City tour coming up in like 2 months. We need you to pack your bags, get your stuff in order. And so I did, even though that was a little bit more difficult than I originally let on. Cause I was in a little bit of legal trouble at the time.
But in the circus, like you weren't walking around, you have a chair in one hand and with like the lion tamers, the chair in one hand, the whip in the other, and you're like, like you were doing things that are highly technical.
Yeah, I got hired up as a like general acrobat. And I think their vision for me was like, okay, he's really good at the jump rope routine, because the jump rope routine was this really fast pace. It's 6 minutes of high energy, like 20 guys on the floor, spinning jump ropes, flips, jumping on your hands. And when I was at this audition, it was like the first time I had ever tried any of this. But I was a natural at it. I was able to pick up on it pretty quick. And so they're like, okay, well, what else can you do? Can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? And so I started off as just the jump rope guy, and it really grew from there. I turned into a clown. I studied under the main guy that was doing the clown work, Marco. Started doing clown work. I started juggling. I started doing sear wheel, because you're in this life with like 23 mostly Russian athletes that are just out of this world. They're the Paul and Morgan Hams. You know what I mean? They're the Olympics like level guys. And so I was just a sponge during this time. I was just like, teach me everything that you guys know, because I'm in for the long haul. And so I progressively kind of got higher up in the ranks in the show, to the point where I was like one of the main characters, opening up the show, 10 minutes of clown work before anything even started. And did that for a while and ended up here somehow.
Yeah, right.
Over there.
So that led to, you going into, you ended up in skydiving and now you're here. And
yeah, I got my brother to thank for that.
Yeah.
He came out and saw my show in Hawaii, and I want to say like maybe 2012, something like that. And Aaron comes out, sees the show, and I go, let's go skydiving. Even though this was totally against, like, we're not supposed to do this because we're under contract to, like, stay safe. But I'm like, we're in Hawaii. Let's go skydiving. You've never been. I went right after high school, and I was like 2005. Me and a buddy of mine went. And so me and my brother go skydiving. He came out to Hawaii to see my show, come skydiving. He ends up, like, staying in Hawaii. He's just like, I'm just not going to catch my flight back home. I'm living my Aaron life because my brother's awesome like that. I went on, continued touring. Aaron fell in love with skydiving right there and then. Like, that was it. He decided right there that, like, this is the new career path that I'm going to go on. And so I don't know how long he stayed in Hawaii, but he eventually made his way over to California, made his way here, got his AFF here. This is his home drop zone. Ended up becoming a tandem instructor, ended up becoming an AFFI, like, did the full bill, was a tunnel instructor. He ended up breaking his neck in the tunnel kind of right before I transitioned back over here. Because he had, as soon as he like really dove into the sport, he was like, dude, you would fit in perfectly here. Your personality, your athleticism, this is where you should morph to when you're done with the circus. And so I did. I started, investing time and money into learning how to skydive. And it just stinks because like he had broke his neck right before I had like started getting into it.
Yeah.
And so he started phasing out. I started phasing in.
And now you're a skydiving instructor.
And now I'm the instructor. And and he's working IT. He's doing a bang up job. He's working like internet security.
He can do whatever he wants. He's so smart. Like,
he's one of those guys that pisses you off because you give him something for like 10 minutes and he's like, I've mastered everything that there is to know about this. Yeah. And I can teach it to you. And I can explain the history of it. Yeah, Aaron's unbelievably talented.
Do you get the nerves still? Like when you're about to get in the airplane, you're going to skydive. Do you get the nerves? Do you get nervous? Do you get scared?
No, not really.
How about before you went out on stage in the circus?
No, not like you could put me out in front of 5,000 people right now and just say, go read this. And I'd be like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
There's a point where you just go.
Like I've seen you juggle.
Yeah.
And watching you juggle is pretty freakish. It's
my flow state.
It's amazing watching. I saw something you put on Instagram or something like that. And
here's a video of me juggling.
So you see what I mean? Dude can juggle. And so when you're out there, do you ever think like, I'm gonna drop the ball? Like literally, I'm gonna drop the ball.
I mean, really early on, from the days of gymnastics, I learned that you're going to drop the ball. You're going to. It's going to happen. I peeled off the high bar during a regionals competition. It was regionals, the big regionals competition in Ohio or Iowa. And I peeled off the bar and I completely destroyed my chances at getting an overall like top 3 winning. So I think that I went into cheerleading knowing that we were going to lose competitions. I went into the circus knowing that not every one of these shows is going to go the way that you want it to go. Failure in an athlete's world is just kind of a part. It just goes hand in hand.
So it's more like just you kind of manage your expectations. You just kind of have to. It's going to happen.
Yeah, manage your expectations. You're going to fail. That's okay.
There's this kid that I train with quite a bit. He's a good kid. He has insane talent. Like he's really, really good. He's new. He's a white belt. He's been training for, I don't know, 6 months, maybe 8 months. And he's going to be one of those guys that's just going to be scary when he really nails it down.
So super athletic.
Super athletic.
Is he coachable?
He's 100% coachable.
That's a deadly combination, right?
Isn't it? Right. And he texted me yesterday, and he said, "I have. What do you have to do? What do you have to say about nerves?" And so I'm sitting there listening to you talk, and I was just like, gymnastics, no. Cheerleading, not a chance. A circus, no. All those things terrify me. Like, there's nothing about those and some of it's desire. It's just that's not me. That's just not how I'm wired. Somebody who is wired, that's talent on a like move over here, and then there's this sphere of person, this type of person over here that can go and do that in excellence. Right? Someone like me, I can go and I can go shoot a little bit. I can skydive. I can swim pretty good. There's a handful of things. I can ski pretty good. There's a few things I can do well. Those things are something I won't be able to do well. A lot because of how I'm built and the direction my life went. The person who did that can still come over here and learn how to shoot pretty well way before I could go over there and learn how to juggle. Right? They could come over here, they could learn how to swim pretty well way before I could go over there and learn how to do a bunch of back handsprings.
Right.
Right. They could come over here and they could learn how to skydive pretty well.
Yeah.
Before I could go over there and, like do throws and not let my cheerleading partner hit the ground.
Right.
I was like, I'm going to drop him.
Well, I mean, I was doing flips since I was like 4.
Yeah. See, you know what I mean?
You know what I mean? And in Russia, you go to college for circus. And these are all like generational families that are raised into the circus world.
Yeah.
And so I did I get nervous? 1,000%. I got nervous about getting in front of people.
So how'd you deal with it?
I'm a big fake it till you make it guy. I really am.
Just go.
Go, and just be really confident in like, you know you can do a backflip. You know you can do this trick. If you mess up the trick, the next one you definitely got in the bag. So it was just kind of like, whatever happens, just keep going. And I know the cliche of like the show must go on is unbelievably true though. You know what I mean? Like we can't just stop the show. So many things have gone wrong to the point where like we should have stopped the show, reset, close the curtain. But no, let's just move it along. Everybody get with the program. We got next act is going on.
I think a lot of people, when they start talking about nerves, is that I think that they may be talking about some other things that they don't even know that they've identified. Like they might be looking at it and say, these are nerves. I have nerves. In my heart of hearts, I don't even really know if I could properly define nerves. I don't even know what nerves is, right? But I know what fear is.
Mm-hmm.
And I know what afraid is. And I know that God has created us as humans to have emotions. And those emotions are clear. We know what those emotions are when you feel them. Afraid is one of them. Afraid, you know that it is something that is an emotion that God placed in you, because there's always room for courage to take that step, to go that extra whatever, to just do it, to just drive on. Oh, that is something that I'm afraid of. Now I've kind of wired myself to, is that something that has me apprehensive? Well, I know exactly where I'm going. Yeah. I do that to these guys all the time when they were growing up. This one here hated being behind the ski boat in the tube. First thing I would do is I'd be like, Sam, in the tube.
In the tube.
And I'd named my moves. There was the circle of death. There was the slingshot. There was all these things. And he would literally get tears. Dad, don't
do the slingshot.
And I would get in there and I would just send it with that boat. I was all go. And he'd get in the boat and he'd be like, oh, I'm so glad that's over.
Yeah, you created a monster, though. I'm just going to throw that out there. To this day, you're like, oh, yeah, Sam, the one that has no fear whatsoever.
Correct.
That's you, that you did that.
Yes.
Yep.
Correct. See, because that's what happens. Now, you have now been able to go past the things that you know that you're afraid of, and you didn't die. You know that you got through it, and you know that you did well. Now, there's another side of that, and that is fear. Fear is the one thing, the symptom of fear, and this is how you can tell them apart. Afraid, courage, go. Fear seizes you up. It locks you up. It puts you on your back, and you just start, and you literally are in the corner with your thumb in your mouth. With the other hand, you're just kind of petting your head, and you're just like, no, that's fear. Fear is going to get you killed, right? Fear is what's going to stop movement in a relationship. Fear is what's going to keep you from going and getting that job. Fear is what's going to keep you from getting that degree. Fear is what's going to keep you from doing something that may change your life, that you would have never, in a way that you would never have imagined, if only you had done it. All you got to do is just go.
Yeah.
And afraid can quickly turn into fear if you can't recognize that little place in there where courage can step in, where courage is a slot for courage, and it doesn't take much. And when you act, and when you stop focusing on what it is that makes you afraid, or what it is that has you in fear, right? And you start focusing on the amount of courage and where you're going to direct that courage, it changes the game. It will change everything, the way that you look at anything that's going to stand in your way, that's going to keep you from getting to where you know that you need to get.
100%.
And that's one of the things. So when this kid texted me yesterday, he said that to me while you were talking, I started thinking about that, because I was like, that is something that I wouldn't do. And yeah, I am not super excited about doing those types of sports. But hey, if somebody were to present, like watching Sam goes, he was out there in Manifest the other day, and I think there was a video of him, just somebody, was it Micah dared you, or somebody said, hey, try a backflip. He was standing there. I just did a backflip, and I was like,
nice.
Of course he did.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, that's there is definitely those moments that you do feel like you're getting seized up. And it's like exactly at those moments, it's like you got to count back from like 3, 2, 1, here we go. Like you have to find that sliver to just go, okay, I gave myself a minute to like freak out. Okay, let's go. Let's figure this out. Because the stage is going to be there. Base jumping is a great example of this. This came into my life when I was kind of low. And so I was really eager to do anything to get a thrill out of life, right? And I was standing up on that bridge and locked up in fear. And I kind of just went, just count to 3 and then just jump, dude. Either your chute's going to open or it's not. Such is life, you know what I mean? Here we go. So find those moments to just jump past the fear.
Yeah. Hey, I got a question. When you're not here,
where am I dancing?
And yeah, we're not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. When you're not here, producing this, dealing with our guests and dealing with the electronics, it's I'm looking at numbers clicking over. I'm looking at, it's crazy. I don't know how your brain works like that. But when you're not here, what are you doing?
Well, as you know, on the weekends, I teach skydiving here.
That's right.
So I'm an AFF instructor. So I don't do tandems. I teach people how to skydive.
And by here, we mean the greatest drop zone on the planet.
Skydive San Diego.
Skydive San Diego. Yep, the place we all call home. It's our Disneyland.
It is. And then I also do like some, I really like video editing, and I like to do little videos of my own. So I'm juggling. I'm hanging out with my amazing girlfriend, Daria.
She's awesome.
She is super awesome. We do a lot of dates. So I'm either juggling, making videos, skydiving, playing with my dog. That's about it. That's my life. I don't have a lot going on.
I heard.
I like EDM festivals. I like to go to concerts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I heard a little rumor that you and Sam decided one day just to go and just run around downtown and all the cameras were gone. And I was like, what are they doing? And then Sam came home and I said, so where were you? And he's like, I was hanging out with Zach.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, well, that's good. Like, that's awesome. But what were you guys doing? He was just like
learning.
He's like, what didn't we do? We were all over that town. What were you guys out there doing?
We were just trying to become better photographers, videographers. I've learned that I become better at something when I teach it. When I try to teach something, because it's like it just solidifies that you know the information. Because you're like, well, I don't want to tell the wrong thing. So
you were teaching him how to work.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if it was like a teaching. I was passing along some of the things.
So what did you guys do? So you guys were out running around town. So like when you were teaching him how to do some of that stuff, like where were you? What were you doing?
Yeah, so we started down by Midway, and we kind of worked our way north a little bit. But there's a lot going on at the Midway.
Midway, what do you mean? Oh, at
the
Midway.
USS Midway Museum.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, so we were right on the water, and we just kind of walked around, looked for interesting shots. And
so what'd you get?
Man, I'll have to show you. We'll put it up on the screen here. We got a lot of just walking around talking about life, which is great. That's kind of...
Put it up, dude. I want to see it.
Yeah, let's take a look.
Let go. That's when you start to fly.
Look back, but don't stare. It's healthy to look back, but if you stare too long, you might get caught up in the past. That's no bueno.
I asked him a couple questions about his Gen Z lifestyle and kind of what challenges the Gen Z has. Because I'm curious, because I think I got the last generation of like no social media, no, MySpace was kind of a thing. We were all like secret coders back when we were in 7th grade, and then Facebook came out. But yeah, my generation was still running around in the woods, coming home in the street.
Dude, that was awesome, by the way.
Thank you.
We had a lot of
fun doing that.
That was awesome. And my favorite part of that was you asked him a question, and your answer was something that you learned from the podcast.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And
look back, don't stare.
look back, but don't stare. Who said that?
Nick McGeary. And we were all in here. Nick McGeary, by the way.
It was just a quiz.
Had
congratulations.
Go check out that podcast. Nick McGeary's podcast was one of our early guests, and he had the room pin drop worthy. You know what I mean? Like his story was incredible, and his advice was incredible. Yeah. And we all have challenges.
It was so powerful when he said that too. He goes, "The advice I always give somebody when they come back and
I had goosebumps.
Dude, so did I. I was just like, whoa.
Look back, don't stare. And
I've had people text me that. I've had people tell me that just being out and around town. just friends of mine or whatever. Like, hey, look back but don't stare, man. That changed my life. That's one of the quotes that people have come and said something to me about that. It just so the fact that you said that on that thing right there, I was like, that's cool. I almost wanted to take a video of that and send it to Nick McGarry, because I think he would like the fact that that it stuck like that, and that was the thing that was on the tip of your tongue. And that's one of the things about your generation is that I don't know if there's really. I think that social media has more downside than upside, 100%. But what I also think is that if you're paying attention to something close enough, if you're paying attention to the good in something, you're going to see more of the good in it. If you're looking for the bad in something, you're going to see more of the bad effects of it, right? And so somebody that's using social media, like for what we do, right? This is hopefully there's good content that's in this, that somebody's going to be able to look at it and say, I need that.
Yeah.
I need that. I need to focus on that. I need to follow that advice. I need to do what they said, because that's amazing. I've never thought of it that way. It's a completely new and fresh perspective. That's a good side of social media, right? And the fact that Sam was able to pull that off that was the first thing on the tip of his tongue. That's amazing, because that lets me know that, you're
listening to the right people.
You're listening
to the right advice.
Yeah. And Nick is 100% somebody worthy of being able to listen to what he says after what he's been through, and the fact that he's so well adjusted after that. I mean, it's amazing. So kudos to you, and thank you, Nick, for that. That advice. Obviously, this is 2 months later, and we're still talking about your podcast, and so that's fantastic.
Well, yeah, I once I've struggled myself with like drugs, alcohol, family issues, like all sorts of things. So I think we all go through our own, struggles, and that's why we're here. This is life. And I was once told that depression is dwelling on the past and anxiety is worrying about the future. And I've suffered from both of those things quite often, quite a lot in my life. And the look back, don't stare thing stuck with me too, because it's like it lets you get away with the idea that you have to like worry about these things that happened, because that's kind of what it is like if I'm not worried about these, like something even worse is going to happen, or I'm a bad person because I'm not worried about these things that I've done. So it gives you an excuse to look back at those things, but then it says, hey, wait a minute, the windshield is bigger than the rear view mirror, right? So it justifies it in your life. You're going, okay, you're allowed to experience the pain, but guess what? We got stuff to do here. Like, tomorrow's a new day. Yeah. So yeah, that was my favorite piece of
one of the biggest things about
said too.
When somebody is focused, when somebody is dealing with depression, I honestly believe that there is a chemical component to that. There is medications that are there, and there can be a hormonal imbalance that can lead to that. There are depressions that can come from moms having babies, and their chemistry is all off of their bodies. And there's, and I'm not a doctor. I'm not even going to pretend to go down that road and even try to sound like I know what I'm talking about. But I honestly believe that's a thing. Right?
100%. If you're not like working out, eating right, like those two things, getting enough sleep, those three things, like if you're not doing those three things, I mean, that's where you start. You know what I mean? Any doctor worth his salt would start there.
But one of the things that is a major leading cause of depression is when somebody doesn't feel like they have a purpose.
Yeah.
When there's a lack of purpose, man, you are going to start to spiral a drain really fast because you have nothing to cling to, and you were created for a purpose. And when you lose sight of that, or you don't have somebody standing there next to you helping you walk down this road that's leading towards something that is substance, that has it's substantial, and they can say, all right, so we know where we've come from. I don't know what you're ultimately called to do, but I do know that you're called to forgive the people that are back there. Because you aren't designed to carry around all that crap that you're carrying around right now. That is not what you're designed to do. You need to put it down. You are not designed to carry around all that anxiety that you have. You aren't designed to carry, you know what? How about if we just deal with the stuff that we know we can deal with, and everything else, man, you're just gonna have to let it go. Especially the things that are in your past that hurt you and hurt you bad. God gave you a brain. He gave you a brain so you can remember it, but you are not to remember it against someone. And I'm so glad that God is not somebody that remembers things against me, because if there's anybody that deserves to have things remembered against, it's me.
Oh yeah.
And God doesn't do that.
I'm in that same boat.
And so what does God do? He's just like, yeah, that's why, I set my son to die on the cross, and now you don't have to really deal with that the way you want to deal with it. Yeah, there may be consequences. Yeah, there may be some ramifications. Yeah, there may be some things that we have to walk through as a result of what decisions that you made. But at the end of the day, you're not going to be by yourself anymore. And when you start living life that way, and you start saying, okay, so I'm going to forgive, I know that I'm supposed to do that. I know that I'm supposed to be this kind of man. I know that to get to being this kind of man, it's on the other side of being this kind of man now, that there is a fantastic result of just putting in the work and the effort to be better today than I was yesterday. When you start thinking that way, purpose is going to begin to appear. It will begin to appear out of thin air, because someone's going to say, I really like what you said there. Can you help explain that to me? Now you have an immediate purpose to explain it from a position of leadership and possibly authority, why it is that you think that way and how you came to that conclusion. Now all of a sudden you have a purpose for a moment, just for a moment, and you feel that spark happens. And then what happens is that a little bit more air goes across it, and it kind of perks up into more of a flame, because now you feel that there's a purpose, and the direction that I'm going is the right direction that I'm supposed to go. And I never even knew that before. I think I said in an earlier podcast that I know what it's like to sit in a closet. I know what it's like to have a pistol in my mouth with me on the trigger.
Yeah, me too. Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's your story to tell. I told mine. So I'll let you decide that one. But do you what caused me to not pull that trigger?
Kids, probably.
Yeah, I had a purpose. It was like I immediately remembered that I do have a purpose here, and that purpose is bigger than me. And me doing this right now is probably one of the most selfish things that I could possibly ever do.
You know what I struggle with is like finding, because I can find purpose in a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a pretty accomplished person on paper. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I could list off 20 things that I wanted to set out to do, and I did them.
Mm-hmm.
But I go out and I do these things. I have a little bit of a, what's that called, imposter syndrome, when I get good enough at something and now I'm considered like a professional, but then I don't necessarily feel like I've earned it, even though I've worked my butt off to get to where I am or whatever. So I can find purpose in anything, but it trickles away. I eventually get good at something, and then that purpose kind of leaves me. I don't find purpose in it anymore. Skydiving is an example of that, where it's not quite as fun as it used to be. It's not quite as challenging as it used to be. I typically tend to find that purpose and challenge kind of have to be synced for me to push myself. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, I feel the same way about skydiving. I tell these guys all the time, hey, Dad, let's go do a skydive. Yeah, I'm like, could do another skydive. I don't want to skydive.
And what a first world country problem.
I know.
I feel like such a snob sometimes. It's like, I don't want to skydive today.
I always tell these guys, I'm like, I go the rest of my life and not skydive ever again and be perfectly fine. And they're like, really?
It'll happen.
Well, I thought I'd be doing backflips every day of my life until I was 75 years old. I haven't done a backflip in 2 years, which, like, if my old students that I used to coach were to hear that, they'd be like, I don't believe it, because I was doing a backflip every 3 seconds of my life for all of my life.
You know what, though? There are seasons to things.
Yes.
And when you start understanding that there are seasons of things, that just because you're interested in something now doesn't mean you're going to be interested in it in a year
100%.
from now, 2 years from now.
That's hard to grasp for a lot of people.
It
too.
is, especially when it's built into your lifestyle for a moment, right? It's like, so for me, like when I was in the military, it was all about, shooting, diving, and door kicking. That's what we did. We did it every day. It was part of the life. It's what it was the lifestyle I chose, the lifestyle I lived, and enjoyed it, loved it. Now, I mean, can I do those things? Yeah. Can I do them as well now as I could then? No.
It's also like not your persona anymore.
Right.
That's like not the person you are anymore.
Yeah. It's so there's a new season. The skydiving season kind of was in the middle of that, and it kind of went on after that for a little while. And then there are things every once in a while that come along where you look at it and you say, I'm probably going to do this for as long as I possibly can.
Yeah.
And, for me, that, jiu-jitsu is one of those things. Like, there's just something about it. There is the mental aspect of it, the physical aspect of it, the guys that you train with. And when you're doing that, there is something about it. It's you're playing chess, because it takes that level of awareness of what you're doing. But instead of just pieces on a board, it's your entire body, and it's somebody else's body. And if you're not paying attention, there are parts of that dude. He's gonna be
wrecking you.
He's gonna be wrecking. He's gonna be taking his hands.
Yeah.
And he's gonna be putting them on you, and he is gonna rip your face off, and your head's coming off with it. It is gonna be brutal.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about flow state.
Yeah.
And just combative flow state
Yeah.
to a degree. You know what I mean? Yeah, flow state is something that I have to do. It is something that I have to do at least once a week. Skydiving gives it to me. Juggling gives it to me. Dancing can give it to me.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Let me say that last part again. When you are facing an opponent, you have real life problems to solve, and that problem that you're trying to solve has a heart rate
and an arm around your neck. Yeah,
and that problem you're trying to solve is trying to solve you as a problem. And so you're in a constant movement. Like, he's throwing problems at you that you're solving while throwing problems back at him that he has to solve. Whoever gets a problem through unsolved is the one who gets who gets the round.
Who's in the better flow state? Who's almost not there? Like they're above their body, playing that chess game.
There is a piece of that, I guess, that there's a component, but there's technical aspects to it. There's physical strength and endurance aspects to it. How big's your gas tank?
Yeah.
You got a gas tank on you today? It's where are you in your head, and are you present? If you aren't present in your round, your jiu-jitsu partner is going to know that you're not. I can't tell you how many times that I have been training. I have one training partner who's extremely sensitive to this. His name is Morgan. And Morgan will stop me, and he'll be like, hey, he'll just tap. He'll be like, and we're sitting there on the mat. He's like, man, what's going on with you today?
Yeah. I was like, just super in tune.
What do you mean? And he's like, you are not here right now. I'm like, how do you know? He goes, you're I can just tell there's just something about you. And there's something about a sport where somebody can know you so well by how you operate on the mat that they literally have a pass to your psyche and what's going on in the back rooms of your heart just by rolling around on the mat with you.
1000%.
And when they call you out on it, it is something that's so. There are pieces of jiu-jitsu that I can't live without, and that is one of them. Having those kinds of relationships that have been forged through that fire of combat that you can't find. You can't find that anywhere else. So this is one of those times where I'm saying I'll be 70 years old and I am going to be on the mat and I am going to be probably the dude over there with the dummy that is that is used for training. I'm going to be that guy over there just like wrestling with a dummy because I'm too old and nobody wants to break me.
Right.
So that's probably going to be me. But I'm going to be out there and I'm going to be doing it because that to me is something that is so special and important. And my wife knows when I haven't trained. Sam knows. You guys probably all could tell. Bram didn't train today.
Yeah.
He's a little more quiet or he's a little grumpier or he's something.
Yeah.
Everybody
you didn't get
can
your
tell.
fix.
Didn't get my
You
fix.
didn't get your dopamine fix.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that this touches on, like, in a micro scale, this touches on a macro issue, which is like, we need community in our lives.
Yes.
We need, and we need to have these
struggles. Tribe life, you know?
You have to. Yeah. You have to. You can't be in solitary confinement scrolling through, TikTok for 20 hours a day every day and have like a healthy lifestyle. We need to have team sports. We need to have community where we do these things to keep us sane. And it's kind of scary because I think that the world is kind of shifting away from that. And
you said something earlier. You said, I think that I'm one of the last generations to not have social media. And I remember when MySpace was starting up. And then this thing came around called the Facebook.
Mm-hmm. And you could only get it if you had a .edu. So I don't know if you remember that. But like, so I was I was in high school still when Facebook came out. My sister was going to Morehead State University. And I think I even like asked her, like, can I just like look into your Facebook? Can I see what it's about? And I think it looked exactly the same too, is the funny part. But Facebook wasn't really a thing. AOL chat, that was a thing. That you just randomly talking to strangers.
Yeah. Through your computer.
Yeah.
ICQ numbers? Was it the
ASL? Age, sex, location. Didn't stand for American Sign Language. It was asked, if you said ASL, you were asking for their age, their sex, and their location.
But do you remember before chat, like just going computer to computer, you had a number that came with it, and I think it was part of your IP address. I don't know how this works. There's probably some nerd out there that knows a lot about computers and be like, "Oh, actually, But it's
my brother.
I think yes. Sorry.
Shout out to Aaron. Smarter than everybody in the room.
If you have, I think it was an ICQ number. I think that's or an IC.
It's like an identifier number.
Yeah. So if I had your number, I could go to some spot on some dashboard on my computer, enter that in there, and then you would get a notification, hey, Bram wants to chat with you. And then you would be like, hey, dude, what's up? And then we could have a conversation back and forth through the computer.
Yeah.
And I remember
it was a big deal.
It was a big deal. And I remember when that first started happening, I was on a deployment when that happened. And one of the guys
like, this
had
is
a
perfect because I'm across the country. That's perfect timing.
And I was like, you get to chat with people in the States, and he's like, yeah, it's free. It's just kind of like a pager, but it's on your computer.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's the best description you have for it. It's like, well, I don't know. And
texting wasn't a thing.
Wasn't a thing. And cell phones were like that big.
Box.
Yeah. You needed a backpack for it.
Yeah.
And it was so technology has done two things. It's both split up communities, because now you have people who are active and part of a tribe that are now just in the basement because they can do everything through their Xbox.
Yeah.
And then you have the other side of it where you have social media that brings communities together, because now you can have a community that's not just in the same room like we are.
Yeah. I've gone online and found like juggle meetup groups, or poi spinning meetup groups. Like when I'm in a new city, when I moved out to California the first time, I didn't have any friends. I went online. I think Meetup was an app. I don't think it exists anymore, but Meetup is like something that you could just go, hey, a bunch of us are meeting in the park and doing yoga on Saturday. Yeah, social media, it's the probably the end of civilization. It's also been a pretty fun ride. We'll see. I don't know. It's a double-edged sword, I think. I think it helps some, and I think it's also horrendous to stare at a screen for 8 hours a day. So
yeah.
And I'm a true addict, like through and through. And so I can get addicted to all of it. I love scrolling, doom scrolling.
I got off of social media some time ago. Because you're looking at all this stuff that's on there. It's like, I don't really care to see your cat.
Right. Or your pork chop and
I don't care what you had for dinner
right
last night. you know.
Right. That was a big thing too for a while.
And then there's Jocko's watch
Oh wow.
at like 2 a.m. or whatever time he would have that on there. And then there was all these, and then there's the funnies, and then there's the serious people, and then there's the ones that are going to beat you over the head with the family Bible, and then you have the guys over here that are just like flat earthing everything to death, and you have the people over here that are just all about their, you know, it's you get roped in and you start going down these rabbit holes.
Yeah.
And I remember I looked at my analytics, and I had spent 23 minutes a day looking at cats, what people were eating.
Yeah.
And all the other rabbit holes that I was going down.
Yeah.
And I remember
when you look at that, how did that make you feel?
Well, no, it wasn't that. I was just going 23 minutes a day. If I stretch that out over because I sit in an office all day and do budgets.
Yeah.
And I work on spreadsheets.
Yeah. So you're like, wait, if I do the numbers on this,
I do this. So if I take
a year of my life,
if I take 23 minutes and I take that, and so now I have a couple hours a day that a couple hours a week that I'm spending literally doing mindless stuff.
Yeah.
And so I said, how can I take the amount of time that I'm putting on this and promote relationship better? Take the relationships that I have that are important to me and set them on fire. I mean, move it to the next level. I mean, really make somebody know how I feel about them. So what I started doing was I would handwrite a letter. I would take a couple hours, and every week I would handwrite a letter. You get a handwritten letter, and it comes in the mail, and you open it up, and you see it's handwritten, and somebody didn't just sit down and start typing it.
Yeah, you read it.
You're going to read it.
Yeah.
And because that letter represents a couple things. It's going to represent the amount of time that person took to
Thinking
write
about
that letter.
You
Yeah.
specifically.
And
that's
putting
nice.
a pen to paper, and you start thinking like that. And everybody thinks that way subconsciously, but I'm going at it from an intentional standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing it on purpose. So now everything I do, everything is to counter any of the depression that I once had. I'm always trying to find the purpose in something. And so, like relationships, you have a relationship, you have a purpose, and you have a responsibility to manage that relationship. That's a purpose. If you have kids, yes. If you have a wife, yes. If you have a girlfriend, yes. You have a buddy, you have one. Do you just have one? Can you count all your friends on one finger? Guess what? There's a purpose in there.
Yeah.
And so I took the amount of time that I was spending on this, and I generated a purpose out of it. And from that, I sent a letter to one of my mentors. His name is Bill.
So instead of spending 23 minutes on cat videos, you said, I'm going to take this 23 minutes. I'm going to start writing letters.
2 hours.
To people.
Like over the course of a week, right?
Okay.
So I would take that time.
So you
over the
literally
course of a
just
week.
swapped it to, I'm going to start doing this for the...
Instead of doing this, I started
That's a lot of
handwriting.
discipline.
So I hand wrote letters, and the response that I got from the people that I was writing letters to. So that's my challenge to people is reduce the screen time.
Increase the
Increase the amount of time. Yeah. And do you print or do you write cursive? I just print. Cool. Write cursive.
I'm so pissed we learned how to write cursive.
You not do it.
So many hours of my life wasted figuring out cursive. I should have been coding at this. They should have been teaching me binary, for sure.
So cursive, you don't like cursive a whole lot, huh?
I appreciate the fact that I learned it so that I can read my grandmother's letters to me. I think that's maybe the whole reason I
You should
learned it.
You should do you have a journal? You write a journal?
I do.
You should take 1 week and do nothing but write cursive for a week.
My hand would hurt.
When somebody has I always say do something that sucks every day. And it might not be something physical. It might not be, I'm going to go on a 5-mile run. And you get back, no, I'm going to do 2 more miles.
Yeah, sometimes
Perfect.
you just need to
Do
clean
that.
the toilet.
Do that. Yeah. Sometimes see a need, meet it. Sometimes it's not that great.
Yeah.
You're going to be late when you're trying to go do something. You know what sucks is pulling over behind a lady who's trying to change a tire. Kind of sucks, especially when it's raining. She's out there changing a tire.
Probably the right thing to do.
It's the right thing to do. Yeah, but it sucks. Do something that sucks every day, and then you're going to start seeing that that's the norm and the standard by which you live your life. And then things start doing things. You start thinking different. It starts changing your psychology. It starts when you start choosing the bad things, the hard things over and over and over and over again. It becomes a part of your lifestyle, and it becomes something where people around you start noticing that guy is not afraid of doing the hard stuff. If I'm out there DZSOing, hey, I'm running rigs. And I don't necessarily want to, because that's kind of Eddie and Caleb's little job. But if I'm doing it and it makes them more available, maybe to go fuel the airplane, or maybe go, load jumpers or whatever, it makes things more efficient. And I can just sit there and be like, oh no, I'm on the radio. No, go and do something and choose to do the hard stuff. And because now you're starting to form that discipline muscle that oftentimes doesn't get any work done to it. And when you choose to live a life that's outside of discipline, and you're just going to just do whatever it is that you feel like doing, I tell you what, sometimes I get up in the morning, I do not want to go train.
Yeah.
I get up in the morning and sometimes I don't want to do stuff. Sometimes I just want to just stay in bed and just, I'll sleep for another hour.
That's the hardest part of being an adult, is that you don't have somebody up your butt going, hey, you have to do this today.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's the hardest part.
Yeah.
Is that creating your own discipline is, it's hard.
And that's who you want on your team. Somebody who's disciplined, because that person is also going to be reliable.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be skilled because they have applied discipline to their craft. They're also going to be somebody who's going to put the team in front of themselves. There's somebody who's going to be team first. Me and the boys and JC, we went out motocross riding, and I think it was Micah. Were you there that day? I think so. Yeah. And we came back from riding, and we were out at Pine Valley. We were out in the trails, just getting after it. And we got back, and JC and I, the first thing we're doing is first thing you do is you always put the bikes away. That's number one.
Yeah.
You do it while you still have your boots on.
Wash it off if it needs to.
Well, that happens when we bring it back here. Then it's like it's wash off the bikes and everything else. But it's team gear first, and then it's your gear, and then it's you, right? And so it's put the bikes in the back of the truck first, and that takes a minute. And it takes some teamwork to do that when you have 3 or 4 bikes that you put in the back of a pickup truck, and then you get that in there. All right, cool. They're all stitched down, checks. They're all safe. Wiggle some wheels, move things around. Yep, it'll stay in place on the way back. Then, now you can take your pads off. Now you can take your motocross gear off, and now you can put your shorts on and everything else. And then, so it's in that order. We came back and Micah he just parks his bike, puts his kickstand down, and it just starts changing. And JC just jumped on him.
Yeah.
And JC's like, hey.
We got shit to do here.
Hey, let's get this stuff loaded in. What do you do like that? And Micah was like, and got the point. And somebody who has they're geared towards it. Maybe they're raised towards discipline, things like that. When you correct them, they're gonna be like, oh, got it. And then there's managing yourself in that same manner. So. To use another analogy, one of my training partners, Jimmy May, the guy is a fantastic jiu-jitsu player and also just an amazing friend, but a mentor. He's got a mentor's heart, right? And there were times where we would get done doing a round, and I would just be kind of just like leaning against the wall or sitting there, or we get done with the round, and he hops to his feet, win or lose, hop to his feet, and well, for him it's win. Hop to his feet, and I'm on there going, oh man, I just can't believe I lost to that. I can't believe it. And he's like, get on your feet, dude. What are you doing? Get up. And I was like, oh yeah. He's like, win or lose, be the first one to your feet at all times. So the next round that we did, we got done, the bell went off, and it was like, bing, we both jumped up, and he's like, I was trying to beat him to the feet. And that has become my thing every time. You get done with a round, hop to your feet, help the other guy up. Because win or lose, you helping that other guy up, that sends a message, right? And that takes discipline. The other one is his biggest pet peeve is seeing mouth breathers. So if you're like get down the round, you're like walking off. Jimmy's like, hey. He walks up, he just touches my chin. He's like, hey man,
get it in there.
It takes this much more effort to look like a team guy.
Yeah,
just give it a shot. And I was like, ooh, burn. It got me good. And so ever since then, I have lived by that mantra. It just takes this much more effort. In fact, when Jimmy got married, I took my suit that we all had the same suits built, right? And inside my suit, I put a little tab in there, and on it is embroidered from the manufacturer. It says, "Just a little more effort." And so at his wedding, I just walked up to him. I just opened up my jacket. I'm like, "Check that out." And he was like, "That's what I'm talking about." So these little things that you just pick up through life, and you memorialize them somehow in your heart, it's going to stick, and you're going to find yourself living by that. That's how you build a code. And every man is going to live by a code of some sort. And you have to be an active participant in creating that code, living by that code. And if as soon as you don't, you're giving yourself just a little bit of leeway, a little bit of wiggle room, and then all of a sudden discipline starts to become less and less of an issue. Discipline needs to be like right in front, and you need to lead. You need to lead with that discipline foot at all times. I remember I was listening to some. I don't remember who it was. I think it might have been Willing's podcast, but he said it was a cartoon. I think somebody took a cartoon of him and his guest having a conversation, and it was two cartoon characters that you're watching. And the guy asked Jocko. He said, "Hey, have you ever just taken a leisure day? You know, when you have your leisure day, do you go and maybe just sleep in a little bit like that?" And the guy got like he got like 10 seconds into that, and Jocko says, "Did you just say leisure day?" Like, "No, I don't take leisure days." He goes, every day is filled with a purpose. There's a reason why I'm doing what I'm doing, and I'm going to make sure that I fulfill that. He goes, "I got a mission to accomplish, and I'm going to accomplish that mission." And that was super powerful, because the guy that was his guest was like,
made him feel like a real piece of work, right?
I'm sure it did. I'm sure it did.
I took 23 leisure days yesterday or last year.
And so that stuck. And so there's all these little things that I take from guys that are just in my life that lead these amazing lives. And they're not perfect people. They're not perfect men. They're not perfect humans. They have their thing, and we all do. But when you start to work on yourself from that perspective, right? Take it, just writing cursive in your journal instead of printing, because printing is just what we do as dudes, especially in the military. Block letters, all caps at all times.
Right.
It's the date, and then the month, and then the year.
Right.
I still do that.
Right.
And people are like, no, I want numbers with a slash in between. I'm like, you don't get that. You're getting it military, and I'm gonna do it in block letters. And so it turns into a way that you live your life. And every time you do one of those things, you start to think about it. You're just like, oh, the thing is that as soon as you do one of those things that's based in discipline, what you're going to do is the very next thing that you're going to do, that's still fresh in your mind. You're going to do that at a different level of excellence than before.
Yeah.
So imagine if you have one thing that you do that is so you sit down, you start writing. You've been writing cursive in your journal. You don't like cursive. I'm using you as an example. You write cursive in your journal. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to make dinner for Daria. You're going to put that much more effort into dinner for her, right? So now imagine you have 5 of those things that you do every day.
Yeah.
5 of those little things that I'm on the mats. I know I'm going to pop up to my feet. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look for something. I'm going to look for someone on the mat that may not have the experience on the mat that I might have. And I'm going to go and I'm going to
Go try to help
I'm going to go help
person
that person out, right?
Yeah.
So the next thing that I do is always as purposeful as that first thing that was reminded or taught to me by one of the boys. And then so now you have 5 of those things, and those things are always recurring throughout the day. So now it's like I have 5, 10, 15, 30, 50 of these things. Before you know it, you are leading a life of discipline that you never knew that you could lead. And that discipline is going to lead to purpose. And there's not going to be room for that depression, now barring the things that are standout circumstances that always exist. I'm just talking because I know I was, I went through a season just not that long ago where I just felt depressed all the time until I decided that it wasn't. I was going to go ahead and take the reins back.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people don't do. They don't take the reins back. They're just like,
they're waiting for somebody to come grab them and pull
like
them
a
off the
full
water.
Eeyore mode, woe is me.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. Why do I feel this?
Yeah, that's the hardest part is that having gone through it, knowing that there's really nothing that you can do
Yeah.
for other people and that it is a personal struggle and we all have to crawl our way out of that. And the way that, and you were just touching on that, and the way that we do that is through baby steps. Okay, and it kind of reminds me of that Jordan Peterson book, The 12 Rules of Life. It's like you have to start by making your bed. And then that sets the precedent for the day. I just made my bed. I can check one thing off of my list of things that I successfully accomplished today.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's really important to start baby stepping towards that. And the other thing that you touched on that resonated with me is the purpose that you get in life is through helping others. I'm like, there's no thing, the AFF job, the making $1 million, that's all good, but that's all that happiness, that peaks and valleys. That the real purpose comes from helping other people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in a program that helps me not drink, and that's all I'll say about that. When you get to the end of it, the whole purpose of the program is to then take this message and to try to share it with other people, because community, right?
Yeah,
so that's how we get better.
Ricky Lundell said it the best. He's built an entire business model off of it, and his thing is just 1% better every day.
Yeah.
And he got that because he was injured, couldn't train really, and so he just kind of went into powerlifting a little bit to rehab his body and get his joints back in working order. I believe that's what it was. And
he ended up absolutely crushing his goals.
Yeah,
from 1% better.
Yes,
1% better.
1% better. And so then he said, well, as soon as I started looking at that, I started, well, what happens if I take that and put it into my
life,
in my fight career?
Yeah.
And then what if I put that into my relationships? And then when the way Ricky was when he was here is how he is every single time. If we have a text conversation, a phone conversation, a one-on-one person conversation, he embodies that in everything that he does, everything that he says. He is such an encourager.
Yeah.
There's
super disciplined dude.
And you know who else is like that is Deborah. Deborah's like that.
Laurence
is like that. Deborah's this lady that trains at the gym with us. Super encouraging. And if she even thinks that you're having a bad day, she's going to say, "Hey, what's going on? Are you okay? How can I help? What is it?" It's just having people like that in your life is
contagious.
Just hearing that encouragement is going to make you 1% better.
Yeah.
And the other aspect of that is when you said it's just being there for other people. If you see a need, meet it. When you meet a need, whether it's in somebody else or just walking by some trash that needs to get picked up, you're just like, did something good.
Yeah.
I am on point.
I can check my karma box.
But what if you need a miracle? What if you need something amazing to happen because it is just you're at the bottom of the barrel financially or maybe health-wise or whatever?
I once heard this from a really wise person. It was be a miracle.
Be a miracle.
Yeah.
If you need a miracle, be a miracle.
Yep.
And it makes the waiting for that miracle a whole lot more pleasant when you're being a miracle for somebody else, because then you just brought them up to that next level. What do you think is going to happen when all of a sudden you need something and you may not even communicate it to them? They're just going to sense it. They'll be like, "Hey man, dude, you got this." I know, even if it's just that encouraging word, saying that right thing, that right word in the right moment, right in the right season of your life, man, it can mean all the world to somebody.
Yeah.
Being able to do that, 1% better, being 1% better. I've told the kids since they were little, I'm like, the number one thing you're going to do when you get up in the morning. This was before it was some viral video that some SEAL admiral put out on, at a commencement ceremony, make your bed. Everybody sends that to me. I'm just like, that's nothing new. That is something.
It's pretty saturated.
That's something that I've been telling him ever since that he was old enough to make a bed.
I was just gonna ask you because I get it. Baby steps. I can wrap my head around that, and I've done it, and I do that, and I've been really successful at helping people with addiction stuff. But then there's failures too. You know what I mean? There's times where I thought I could do I thought I gave everything I could to that person, and it didn't end up well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's that aspect too.
That's
Is
so
that
annoying.
you're going to be wildly disappointed.
It's so annoying when you give somebody such great advice and then they're just like, yeah,
And they don't take a
and they don't
lick of it.
They don't take it.
Oh my
But
god!
the thing is, though, is that you can't wear that. You did your job.
No, and you have to let it be.
Yep.
Because that's what's supposed to happen with that person. You know what I mean? Like, I can't tell you how many times somebody had said to me, "Don't you think you're maybe drinking a little bit too much?" Or "You're definitely drinking a little bit too much." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I wasn't hearing it. And I knew. You know what I mean? I knew in my heart that I was, but there was no. Hey, get yourself 1% better. Hey, I had to break. You know, I had to physically break. So, you know, there are people out there that 1% better ain't gonna work, and they just gotta go find their breaking point too. You know,
Yep.
that's the reality as well.
Yeah.
Is sometimes 1% better doesn't work.
Well, it works. It works for me because I know that God doesn't expect perfection, but a little bit of progress every day. That's something that is attainable.
100%.
Attainable.
100%. A lot of times when I'm really struggling, I just look at my watch and I go, okay, just get through this next minute.
Mm-hmm.
Because 90% of the time, after that minute goes by, I go, okay, whew, that wasn't that bad. I can get through the next 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I can get through the next hour. I can get through today.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's how you have to break it down that much.
Yes.
There's definitely times.
Those hardships. I remember in Buds. That's one of the things. There was this kid that was not doing well during one of the evolutions, but I think it was maybe log PT or something like that.
When you say he's not doing well, does that affect you?
It doesn't. Well, I was in the boat crew. I wasn't in the conversation, but this one guy's like, I think I'm gonna quit. And the other guy that was right behind him said, hey, all you have to do is just get through this evolution. Just get through this evolution. He goes, we've been doing it for already an hour and a half. He goes, it's not going to go forever. It's going to end. All you have to do is just tolerate it for just a little bit longer.
Yes.
And the kid did, right? And then he got done and he went to that guy. He said, hey, man, thanks.
If it wasn't for you, I
yeah,
probably wouldn't.
100%.
Right.
100%. And that guy went on to be an amazing team guy.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to have that thought at some point, like, man, this is not for me.
Yeah.
I didn't have too many of those. And there's always something funny that happens or is happening. But the one thing to remember when you're going through something where you're concertedly going through something hard with a group, everybody is sucking hind tit just as bad as you are.
Mm-hmm.
And to sit there and put yourself in that, like, woe is me, I'm the only one suffering here. No, you're not. Everybody is.
Yeah.
Right? Now the economy starting to go south. People are like, I'm not getting enough money. I can't pay my
Yeah.
Dude, how many people are in?
That's everybody.
That's
all of us.
That's pretty much everybody
Yep.
right now. You know, everybody's feeling the effects of the economy. So when you start looking at the economics of things, and it's really easy to be like, oh, the left is doing this, oh, the right is doing this, and oh, the president is doing this, and oh, we got the World Economic Forum, they're trying to do this, all the da. And whether there may be or may not be some truth in it, hey, cool. But you have a responsibility as a man to go ahead and step up and be a provider for your family. And are you willing to do everything possible to make sure that they have everything that they need, that they have clothes on their back, that they have food in the refrigerator, that they have transportation, that they have a roof over their head? And if you're not, well, that's when you're failing. When you're doing everything that you possibly can and it's still not working, man, that's what you got a tribe for.
Yeah.
That's like, hey guys, I'm really hurting right here. And it takes a hit on the pride a little bit to be able to say, hey, I need help right now. I'm trying to figure out how to do this. Does anybody have any ideas for me?
And it's so funny because it takes a lot of courage to ask for help.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second you ask for help and you're given it, you're like, dang, I wish I would have done that 30 minutes ago or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's always, when somebody asks for help, the person that's going to help is wanting to help. You know what I mean? And we forget that a lot of times. And so, you know, this is a great example of Brandon and Katie, some employees that worked here, just moved. And then they had their car stolen during their move, like on their way out to their new city. And, you know, they reached out and like the community came together and helped them out. And it was super cool to see. But making that phone call to just be like, hey, can people just give me money right now because I'm in a crap situation? It's like, dude, of course. Like I would send you more if I could. You know what I mean? Yeah, I've had a lot of help along the way. I've been a little bit of a lost soul, and I don't think that I think that I'm too smart for my own good sometimes, and I'm really good at playing devil's advocate. I'm really good at making an excuse for why I should do something, or why I deserve to do something. Yeah,
I think that's a human.
Yeah, I think everybody
That's a human thing.
does that,
and
no doubt.
And it's when you start to taking inventory of your own life, and you know how you respond to certain situations, being able to acknowledge fact, like, this is my weakness, and then when you start doing it, say, I'm doing it again, right?
Yeah.
And then when you can kind of like a self-diagnose,
Call yourself out on your
yourself
own
out on
BS.
something. Yep. And the other one too is when you're in a tribe, people like men, and I say men, but men, whoever, people that are in your life that love you and care about you and are willing to say, yeah, nope,
Not doing so hot right now, bud.
yeah, that's not good. And if you are humble enough to be able to say 100% right, well, you're owning it at this point, right? Now you're just like, got it. Yep. You know what? You're not wrong. You are not wrong. I'm on it.
Yeah.
And that
You got to surround yourself with those people.
Yeah.
Though. That's kind of a hard part, is surrounding yourself with people that will call you on your BS and then kind of show you how to correct it. Because there's been times in my life where I've had people cheering on my, the things that I probably shouldn't be doing. You know what I mean? Yeah. Nobody was calling me out when I was 23, partying and, strip clubs and, going wild.
Yeah.
Nobody was calling me out on that. So I think that, surrounding yourself with the group of people that you kind of want to be like, or you idolize, or you just admire their tenacity or their work ethic or whatever. I think that that's a huge, important part of it. Yeah. I think that's, I'm trying to convey this to one of my buddies right now who's struggling. So I'm like, well, who are you hanging out with? What are you doing with your time? And
what do you say?
Well, it's the answer that I knew he was going to say. You know what I mean? It was. He's not doing the things. He's not taking any of the advice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got to be ready to get uncomfortable. Because change is uncomfortable, but we don't change unless we're uncomfortable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like nobody changes when they're feeling great.
100%.
So you gotta get ready to feel uncomfortable and be willing to take baby steps, because you can walk a mile stepping 1 inch at a time. Yeah. It's the same mile. You know what I mean? Whether you're doing strides or whether you're crawling, it's the same amount of distance. And I'm more of a baby step person. There's been a couple leaps here and there. Yeah. But I'm that type of person that needs to pat myself on the back because I made the bed this morning, and then make Darius some eggs and go, yeah, see, you're a pretty good dude.
Yeah. You're a pretty good dude, Zach.
I try.
Thanks for hanging out with me today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. This has been fun. Now, and you know who you are. Jiu-jitsu tournaments, they're not that big of a deal. They'll grow you. They're going to force you into an area where it's the unknown is about to happen. But man, it's okay to be a little, tentative, walking out on the mats. But when you have your angry eyebrows on, you're leaning in, and you're going to go ahead and do it no matter what, because you have people in your corner that are supporting you, and they're going to kind of walk you through it and coach you. No matter what you're doing in life, you have what it takes. So you need to go in there and you need to do that jiu-jitsu tournament, and you need to do it and do it well. I'll be there in your corner. So will Coach Baker. We're all going to be there, and we're going to make sure that you're going to be leading with the right foot forward, all the stuff that you've already learned, right? So you got this, buddy, right? I believe in you, right? Everybody else, Bram Radio, thanks for being here.
Stay dangerous.
Stay dangerous.